Welcome to the Daily Insider here on VegasInsider.com. I am Kevin Rogers. I am with Thom Cunningham, and we are back today. Tom ran solo yesterday, but today we need both of our insights because we have the play-in tournament in the NBA starting, the first ever play-in tournament.
Yes.
Even though last year you had the play-in game with Memphis and Portland in the bubble, and now you have the play-in tournament, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Also, look ahead to the baseball and the Stanley Cup Playoffs. But first, we want to remind you, as always, about the Daily Insider Contest, which we have every day from Monday through Friday. And it's very simple. Below this video in the comments section, not in the live chat, but the comments section, make sure if you want a chance at the prize for the day, you put your Vegas Insider user ID and your best bet for the night, whether it's baseball, hockey, basketball, doesn't matter. It could be a first half play in the NBA, it could be a first quarter play, it could be a first 5 innings play, it could be a player prop. Doesn't matter what it is. And you just got to make sure, A, you get it in before the game, and B, it cannot be a live bet. It's got to be before the game. Right. And also make sure you are a subscriber to our YouTube channel here at Vegas Insider. If you don't have a user ID, that's fine, because you can hit the big yellow register button up here in the upper right corner. Free membership, register now, and it's free. So you don't have to worry about pay for the ID. You can just get it for free. And we just need your email address, first and last name, some contact info in case you win. It's a way to get in contact with you. So, and only one person wins a day, so it's not like, 5 people put up picks and they all win. All 5 of you don't win. It's only one person. And you have to have the winning pick, too. If you pick a loser, you don't win. Simple as that. So we appreciate everyone that has participated so far. I didn't even tell you what the prize was yet. I forgot. So the prize is, if you win, you get, it's a $100 value, 7 days worth of handicapper selections from one handicapper of your choosing on VegasInsider.com. So our marketing department will reach out to you if you are the winner, and that will be the prize. A week's worth of handicapper selections from one handicapper on VegasInsider.com. So, with all that being said, Tom,
yes,
let's get it going. All right, let's start up. NBA, we got tonight the 2 playoff games with the Eastern Conference, Hornets, Pacers, Wizards, Celtics. And Indiana's laying 3 against Charlotte, total of 227. That's the first play-in game. The winner advances to face either Washington or Boston, whoever the loser is. So winner of this game goes on the road automatically in the next game. So you got to win 2 to get to the 8th spot if you're Charlotte or Indiana. So let's start with this game. And a couple notes here on this one, Tom, that first, the Pacers were horrible down the stretch, or at least all season, as a home favorite. So that's one thing. They covered a lot of games as a home dog.
Right.
And looking at their team log, since we could do a little more of a deep dive with them since there's only 2 games tonight. But when you see what they did towards the end against the likes of the Lakers and Bucks and 76ers, Wizards, Hawks, those games they covered, they had a push. They ended up covering that Bucks game. But they went 5-0 against the spread at home, but all 5 covers came as a dog. But then you see them as a favorite, losing outright to Sacramento. Beat Detroit. Even you go back up, it's been a while. Look at that. They lost to Charlotte by 17 back on April 2nd. That was the last game that Gordon Hayward played for the Hornets because he got hurt that game. And now he's been out for a while, and the Hornets' offense has struggled. So with all that being said, Tom, your initial thoughts on this Hornets-Pacers game?
Well, I know, look, the Pacers are tough at home to decipher what type of team we're getting out of them. There is a trend, though, that says Indiana has won 19 of 23 at home when facing Charlotte. That's quite a large sample size, so you have to wonder how many of those Hornets teams actually had LaMelo Ball on it. Ball's presence in this game is to me, the difference. So I don't know if I want to bet against Charlotte while LaMelo Ball is on the court, also with Indiana's home struggles this year. But historically, the Pacers do well inside bankers against Charlotte. So this is a much more tricky game than what might appear to be on paper.
Now, the Hornets, though, they actually, as a road dog, they've had a lot of struggles. If you look back at what they've done, too.
They failed to cover 6 of 7 on the road, I believe it is.
Yeah, look back at as a road dog, first of all, look at the straight-up losses.
Right.
1, 2, they beat Detroit here. 3, 4, 5, 6, and they 7 actually, because it was the Indiana game. That's like the magic game. That's what turned things around for, or at least Indiana played better after that at home, it seemed like, and Charlotte couldn't do anything on the road, especially as a dog. Now look at some of the games. They won at Oklahoma City. They won at Detroit, but those are in the favorite roles. Now you are, I hate to say stepping up in class. They're both under 500 teams. You can't say that Charlotte's stepping up in class, but when Charlotte's an underdog. But to give them credit, though, the last 2 against New York and Washington, they were big in the Wizards game. They blew that one in the season finale that would have put them, I believe, in the 8 instead of Washington. So that was a big swing where now the Hornets have got to win 2 on the road. But the game against the Knicks went to overtime. The Hornets had a lot of chances in that game. So Charlotte's played really well in those games. Now it's just about trying to beat Indiana, and also Charlotte's 2-1 this season against Indiana.
Yeah, again, though, there's just so many crossing trends here, and there's no conviction for either team, for me at least. I see the point total has gone under in 3 of 4 meetings between these two teams. Maybe want to look into that market instead, because again, Indiana, they have not been a good favorite at home this year particularly. Charlotte struggles to cover on the road. Indiana beats Charlotte in Bankers. There's too many crossing trends for me here to really take a winner with conviction. I see the point total has gone under in 3 of 4 games played between both teams. I might lean that way, but I also have a few prop bets that I might lean towards instead of the winning market. I just have no conviction in a winner, a straight-up winner, or covering for that matter. It's too even for me, and there's no clear-cut trend that I trust going into this one.
What are the props you like?
PJ Washington has a pretty decent prop bet to consider. He has seen over 9 or more rebounds in 5 of 6 games. You can get him to get over 7.5. That's not even 9. You can get him to get 8 or more rebounds at plus value, plus 105. Then you have LaMelo Ball, who has scored 19 points or more in 3 straight games when facing a team with a losing record. He has odds to go over 16.5. Pretty small total for the caliber of LaMelo Ball. But he has odds to go over 16.5 total points at minus 101. That's basically even. So I think there's some Hornet players to maybe prop bet around in this one.
Yeah, and Charlotte, they've had other guys step up. You know, P.J. Washington's been very up and down. Miles Bridges just came back over the weekend for the Hornets. That was a big absence for them for a little bit. He's been a very good contributor to this team this year. Look, it just goes to show you how good of a signing Gordon Hayward was. Right. That he played very well. He got hurt, and he was the leader of this young team, which is what they needed. They needed a veteran presence as somebody that was established, and who knows how things didn't work out in Boston in the end for Hayward. He had the terrible leg injury at the beginning, but it seems like he really found his place in Charlotte, and it's just too bad that he has been hurt. But the Hornets have a lot of young talent, and Terry Rozier is another good player. Devontae Graham can go off in any game. Yeah. But then when you look at Indiana, Miles Turner's been hurt. Malcolm Brogdon's been banged up.
Yep.
Karis LeVert, they got him in that 4-team James Harden trade, and Karis LeVert is an automatic scorer. The guy could go off for 20-something a game.
He's good.
Yeah, they have some other young guys that have stepped up down the stretch, and Sabonis is a very good player as well.
Yeah.
It's just about kind of these teams like slumping to the finish in a sense because of all the injuries to their big-name players.
Yeah, I think in terms of who finished the season better, I do think it was Indiana, though. They just seemingly have a little bit more momentum than Charlotte did. I would have thought that the addition of LaMelo Ball coming back into the lineup would almost catapult Charlotte forward. It has not done that. Whereas Indiana, Sabonis came back, a few weeks ago, and they've been playing steadily better and better. So if push comes to shove, I'll take the Pacers, but I still think the point total going under and some of the player prop bets out there are to be considered. Keep in mind, Doug McDermott, he's scored 17 points or more in 4 straight games. He has odds to go over 14.5 at minus 113. So there is some cheap value to consider for some of the players in this game.
Now the second game, Washington and Boston, winner of that one goes to the 7, and they will face Brooklyn coming up in the first round. So you lose that Boston-Washington game, you still got one more shot, and you'll be at home, which will be good. So Wizards could lose and then come back home and play either Charlotte or Indiana, but obviously they want to avoid that and just get into the best of 7 and not have to worry about, another one-game playoff.
Right.
So let's take a look now at this game, and the Celtics, they open up as like a 1-point favorite. It's up to 2 now.
Yeah.
And Boston has actually been, they've been just so inconsistent down the stretch. And look, they have no
Jaylen Brown.
Well, Jaylen Brown hurt, obviously, is a big knock to them. I mean, Jason Tatum can only do so much, and you have Kemba Walker, and he's been banged up at times too. But Washington has the best ATS record down the stretch, the final 24-25 games.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Bradley Beal's not 100% with that hamstring. He came back and played in that Charlotte game to end the season that got them into this 8-9 game. And you look at the numbers that Russell Westbrook has put up. That he's been fantastic. And no matter what anybody thinks of him, he's still look. You can go the Allen Iverson route and shoot 9 of 27 from the floor and score 30 points somehow because you get a bunch of free throws. But Russell Westbrook still dishes out 14 assists a game.
Yeah, he's actually seen 15 or more in 7 of 8. That's incredible. Which you can get for over 13.5 at -107. Just throwing
That's
that
not
out
crazy because he's always going to have the ball in his hands, and you got to hope that these guys make their baskets or make their shots. But let's look at a couple things here. That number one, Boston, they end up winning both home matchups with Washington this season. The second one, the Celtics won by 1. The first one, the Celtics won by 8 or 9, and Washington blew them out in D.C. That was an afternoon game. I remember it was like a Sunday afternoon game that they beat them. But look, Washington's played very well down the stretch.
Yeah.
I think this one's going to be a high-scoring affair.
Okay.
I think that they've had several unders and things were on pace to go over. I think now is when they get the over because Washington, they could run and gun, and Boston defensively has been terrible down the stretch at home, so I'm not afraid of that.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the point total, which has gone under in 5 straight games between both teams. But to your point, Kevin, about the goal total, I'm in hockey mode still. In terms of the point total going over, Boston has seen that in 6 straight home games. So there's a little bit of cross trends. I'm with you, though. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. So of the two, I would lean over. But look, there's some things to like about Washington here. Boston has lost 3 straight games when playing as the favorite, which they are tonight. Washington, they've covered the spread in 8 of 9 games when playing as the underdog, which they are tonight. So I think I would lean Washington. If you have the courage to take the money line at plus value, go for it. Obviously, the spread would give you a bigger safe haven for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think I'm with you, Kevin. I would go over, but my conviction lies with the Wizards tonight, getting the job done.
Yeah, and look, the Celtics. You just wonder which team you're getting. That's
right,
the problem.
You just don't know. And Evan Fournier, I think, is at kind of the peak of that, of which Evan Fournier is going to come out. The man has scored 20 or more points in 3 straight home games. He has odds to go over 18.5 points at plus 104, so there's some plus value there. But if Evan Fournier is able to hit that 18.5 point mark, I think Boston actually does have a good chance to win this game.
So Boston took 2 of 3, Charlotte took 2 of 3, and we'll see how this all turns out tonight. It should be pretty fun. So Charlotte, Indiana, you're one of those teams is guaranteed another game, and Washington, Boston, one of those teams is guaranteed another shot, and the winner will end up getting to the best of 7, and they'll face the Brooklyn Nets coming up. So that will be interesting. And then the
Not
other
the team you want to face.
Well, and then the other team, whoever comes out of the final 3 teams, whoever escapes that to be in the 8, you play Philadelphia, and would you rather play Philadelphia than Brooklyn? Like, I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah, especially when you have the injury history of some of the stars in Philly. I actually was talking about one of our coworkers with this morning. Who do you trust more in the East? And the issue we all seem to have with Philly is their best player, Joel Embiid, is never healthy. So just keep in mind that if Embiid can stay healthy throughout, Philly could have a good chance to get to the finals, maybe even win it. But there's so much inconsistency in availability for the superstars in Philly. It's tough. It's tough to take them.
Yeah, and Embiid's a tremendous player. There's no disputing that, and so is Ben Simmons. But when you look at Brooklyn, as long as those guys are healthy, I mean, you have 3 superstars.
It might come down to health, honestly. So we'll just have to sit back and see.
And you have 2 guys that have won championships, and Harden is trying to get there, but it's. I mean,
look at the Lakers. They're injury riddled all year, and they're in a play-in situation now. This could be the year of keep an eye on the health situation for these NBA teams.
And now let's transition to baseball, and let's look, because we'll look at tomorrow. We'll obviously do a recap of the 2 Eastern games, but we'll also look ahead to the Warriors, Lakers, and Spurs, Grizzlies tomorrow.
Right.
Going ahead to those games. All right. So Major League Baseball, Giants Reds starts off the action tonight at 6:40, and San Francisco won last night. Yeah. Luis Castillo, who has been just an utter disaster for the Reds this year. Anthony DeSclafani, who went from the Reds to the Giants in the offseason. He's been great for San Francisco. He's got an ERA around 2.5, maybe less than that, and he's pitched very well, so he's got his revenge tour tonight at Cincinnati. I kind of wonder with the Reds here, Tom, that, this is a good spot to take them with Castillo laboring as much as he is, and now you get him at this short price after he was a heavy favorite at Colorado last time out. He got racked. He's been bad in the first inning, but second time around against the Giants, and now the Reds, will see if they bounce back after losing last night.
Yeah, there's one market I might consider Cincinnati for, and that might be the run line, just because you get plus value there. But San Francisco's won 3 straight games against the Reds. They've won 4 of their last 5 against the Reds. Cincinnati, they have lost 9 of 10 as the favorite when facing the NL West. So there's some things to like about San Francisco, but Mike Yastrzemski, he has hit a home run in 2 straight games. It's 6th of the year last night. He's starting to turn things around a little bit. He has odds to go yard at plus 380. And then Eugenio Suarez has hit a home run in 4 straight games when facing San Francisco at home. He has odds to go yard at plus 300, so there's some value in the prop betting market for a couple players to go yard. I like San Francisco a little bit if you're forcing me to pick between the two. So I think I would lean in that route, but I do like some of the player props in this one.
Nationals and Cubs from Wrigley, and Chicago won last night, and that was John Lester coming back and also Kyle Schwarber coming back in their first games against the Cubs. And Patrick Corbin goes tonight, and he's a short favorite against Zach Davies, and that's interesting because Patrick Corbin went for the longest time without winning a start, and he's pitched a lot better. And the Nationals coming off that loss last night, and they took 2 of 3 from Arizona over the weekend. And look, this Cubs team, again, it's just the ups and downs. That they took 2 of 3 at Detroit. They lost the 1 game in extra innings in walk-off fashion, but the Cubs have played better of late. And this is much of a toss-up as any game tonight.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is both these teams go under more times than not. Actually, Washington goes under more than any team in all of Major League Baseball, and Chicago, they're ranked top 10 in going under in Major League Baseball. With that said, the last 5 meetings between these two teams has failed to go under the run total. It has gone over in 4 of the 5 and then pushed in the 5th. And these are high run totals. These aren't 7, 7.5. You're looking at 10, 9, 8.5. So I think the conviction for me lies in the run total going over here.
Pittsburgh and St. Louis, and the Cardinals back at home after a rough weekend in San Diego. They got swept by the Padres. And JT Brubaker, again, a guy you never heard of or you probably don't really know outside of Pittsburgh. He's pitched well for the Pirates this year. He's been one of their reliable arms. John Gant goes for St. Louis. And when you get past the likes of Jack Flaherty, Kim, he ended up losing on Sunday, and he had been unbeaten, or the Cardinals, I think, were undefeated in his starts before that game against San Diego. Now you're getting into likes of like a John Gant, who was a reliever, now a starter. And you see this line dip where St. Louis, a short favorite here against Pittsburgh at home, tells you the Pirates may be worth a look.
Yeah, but if the line's gonna dip, let it dip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. Because St. Louis has won 5 straight against Pittsburgh. They've covered the run line in 3 straight against Pittsburgh, and St. Louis has also won the 3rd inning in 4 straight home games. They've led after 3 innings in 4 straight home games. Pittsburgh has lost the 1st inning in 4 or 5 games when playing divisional games when playing on the road. I think there's a lot to like about St. Louis in this one, and if the line continues to drop, just let it drop, let it milk. But if you're looking for quick plus value, the Cardinals to win the 1st inning at plus 290 would be the route to go. Otherwise, I think the Cardinals are a fine pick for this one.
The late game in the National League, you have Colorado and San Diego. There's a couple other games that aren't on the board just because we're waiting for lines on some of them. Marlins, Phillies.
Marlins,
yeah, that's one
Kansas
of them.
City, maybe.
Yeah, well, Kansas City we'll get to in a little bit, but Arizona, LA, and the Mets, Braves, they all have starters that are not determined. So that's why you don't see the numbers up here on the board. But we're just looking at games that have lines. Colorado and San Diego, they face off at Petco. Padres beat them last night behind Yu Darvish. Blake Snell, over 200. I mean, I feel like Blake Snell has not lived up to the billing this year going to San Diego. And Austin Gomber, who we've talked about, who came over from St. Louis in the Nolan Arenado trade, that he actually pitched well against the Padres when he faced them last week at Coors Field. That was part of that doubleheader. And now the team's meeting up again. I just can't make an argument for Blake Snell laying this amount. I can't do it.
I wouldn't do that either. Look, I think San Diego, as long as Blake Snell can do what he does against the Dodgers, what he's done in his career against them, I think the Padres will be okay with Blake Snell's performance. Just show up when they're facing the Dodgers, because he's basically a Dodger killer throughout his career. Just don't yank him in the middle of a World Series. The Rockies have won the first inning in 3 of 4 as the underdog. To win the first inning, plus 420 if you want to look in that regard. But I'm telling you right now, the Padres, there's no excuse they should lose this game. Colorado is awful on the road. San Diego is looking like they're the best team in that division right now. And honestly, minus, 220, 205? They're far too expensive to take. So I would take the advice that we gave you yesterday and just go with San Diego run line at minus 1.5, because that's where you're going to find the plus value for a Padres win. Right now, they're plus 105 to win by 2 or more runs. So I would look into that market. Otherwise, if you have the courage and some house money, maybe take a chance on the Rockies winning the first inning, as they've done in 3 of 4 as the underdog. Plus 420 is incredible odds. But other than that, Padres all the way. They're too expensive. Might just want to pass on this one.
And speaking of Blake Snell's former team, as we move to the American League, Rays and Orioles at Camden Yards tonight. And
Matt Harvey.
Yeah, and Matt Harvey. Look, first the Orioles, they rallied past the Yankees on Sunday, so it's a good job by them. Matt Harvey gets the ball again for Baltimore. Rays are favored here on the road. And look, Tampa Bay, they started off not so hot. They were swept at Fenway by the Red Sox earlier in the season. They had some success against the Yankees, then struggled against the Yankees in the last series before winning the finale. But Tampa Bay, coming back to life. They had that sweep of the Mets this past weekend at home. Now they go to Baltimore to face this Orioles team, and Tampa Bay and Baltimore haven't played yet this season. But the Orioles, the one thing I don't like about them, I don't want to trust them off a win. I feel like, I want to look at the numbers just to make sure that I'm not crazy here.
Yeah, they're not.
But since the sweep of the Red Sox, 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, 2-4, 2-5.
So they don't win more than 2 games a lot.
And then here they won a few in a row, but then, still, for the most part,
they don't win back-to-back often.
Yeah, for the most part, not that often, and they have not been good at home this season. You look, they lost the first 2 to the Yankees, and home openers too. Tom, look at this: 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, 1-3. Against Seattle, 1-4, 1-5, 1-5 in home openers this year for the Orioles.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay's won 4 of the last 5 against Baltimore. I find this very interesting. The run total has gone under in 3 straight between the 2 teams, and 4 of the last 5 between the 2 teams. You have actually seen the losing team score exactly 1 run in 4 or 5 meetings between these 2 teams. Also, you have seen the winning team score 3 runs or less in 4 of the last 5 meetings between these 2 teams. So there's not a lot of hitting when these 2 teams meet in recent games against one another. Some quick player prop bets in this one. Willie Adames, he has hit a home run in 2 of 3 games when facing Birdland, the Orioles. And he has odds to go yard at plus 475, so some good value for him to go yard. But I think you go Tampa Bay here or go under the run total, because that's seemingly what these 2 teams do when they face each other.
Red Sox and the Blue Jays in Dunedin, Florida, and the right outside of Tampa, and the
all the way from Toronto.
That's right. Well, they'll be getting close to Buffalo. They'll be in Buffalo next month, so they're making their way back. So you have both of the aces on the mound tonight.
Yeah.
Eduardo Rodriguez for Boston, Hyun-Jin Ryu for Toronto.
Nice.
And the Blue Jays, they're coming off this series win over Philadelphia. They almost melted down on Sunday. They were huge in that game. The Phillies had a shot. Bryce Harper was up in the 9th inning with a couple runners on. He struck out to end the game.
That's twice he's done that this year, by the way.
Yeah, and he's getting paid all that money. At least put the ball in play. But you look at Ryu here as a favorite against the Red Sox. Kind of interesting here. Rodriguez has been very good for Boston.
Yeah.
But this is a tough matchup here.
I think you look for value in this game because it's such a coin flip. I would just go where the plus value lies. So you see Toronto has seen the underdog win 4 or 5 games. That should lead you to Boston at plus 120. Also, you've seen that the Blue Jays have won the first inning in 3 straight divisional games when playing at night. You get them to win the first inning at plus 230. So when you have a game between 2 teams that are very, very close in what I expect lead changes to occur throughout, I would just look for plus value and go with that. Now, if you want something a little bit more certain, the underdog has covered the run line in 4 or 5 games played between both teams. But again, you're looking at minus probably 200 territory for the underdog to cover a plus 1.5 run line. So I think you either leave this game alone completely or you take some of that courage you have and go with the plus value in a few different markets, because I think this game is going to keep going back and forth as it's played throughout.
Another divisional matchup in Minnesota, White Sox and Twins, and the White Sox just blasted Minnesota last night. The Twins have the worst record in baseball. They've been terrible this year, and they got position players pitching at the end, throwing 45-mile-an-hour cream puffs that get hit out to center field. And
they still have minus value as an underdog with some sports books. I don't get it.
Well, Minnesota flipped to a favorite last night against Dallas Keuchel. The White Sox were favored, and then all of a sudden, sharp money on Minnesota, and they lose by 2 touchdowns to the White Sox.
Let the Sharps take the Twins, please. They're not. No, this is not the year to wait around for Minnesota to hit on a bet, especially if they're the favorite or at minus value, going up against the best team in the division, the Chicago White Sox. I'm now seeing Minnesota is now plus value for today, so some of the smart bettors obviously got the early worm. So we'll see, but I have no conviction in Minnesota in this game or moving forward for that matter.
No, Lance Lynn, he's pitched well for Chicago, and last week when these teams faced off in Chicago, Lance Lynn, he was all right in that game, and the White Sox ended up winning. That stayed under the total of, I believe it was 4-3, and it was a game that it could have got out of control with the total. But Michael Pineda, look, he's been, I mean, Maeda struggled. Pineda's been the most consistent pitcher for the Twins, but it's not like he's winning every time out.
He doesn't need any pine tar in his neck either.
That was years ago. That was a long time ago. But look, this Minnesota team is just they're just struggling. And you know what? The loss of Buxton too. That's big.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy that's great in center field. He's really come around batting over the last few years. I mean, he hits for power, and yet he's hurt. So
yeah, he was their best player in the lineup, their most consistent player. He had odds to win MVP. I think he was the 3rd highest before he got hurt. So he was getting noticed. He had 9-10 home runs at the time as well. If I look and I see Minnesota at plus 100 as an underdog against the best best team in the division, or even if I see Minnesota as minus 106 as an underdog, take advantage of the other team, of the small. Look, Chicago at minus 118, they're much better than that against a team that, as Kevin just said, has the worst record in MLB. Take advantage of the odds that bookies are giving to Minnesota. Take advantage of the opponents that they're playing, because they're going to see cheaper odds. Minnesota's not as good. They're almost like the Pelicans right now in the NBA. Odds makers, for some reason, it could be off past results or what they could potentially be. Whatever the reason is, odds makers are overvaluing the Twins the way the NBA did the Pelicans this year when it came to betting. So just keep that in mind, Minnesota. Take advantage of them for the rest of the year.
The Yankees were huge favorites last night with Garrett Cole on the mound. They were up 1-0 out of the gate, and they ended up losing to Texas.
I got Texas right. Let's go.
Why'd you like Texas? And I agree with you, because I looked at them off getting swept by the Astros. You're getting great value, and Cole was totally, inflated. But why did you like Texas?
Well, the Yankees were insanely expensive. But Texas entering last night, had seen the home team win 8 straight games. They were home. We talked a lot about how Texas is actually, they compete very well this year. They've won a lot of home games as the underdog. And so as a home underdog, Texas plays very, very well. And you looked at a lot of the odds. There was a lot. I think Texas was plus 245 entering the game last night. So you see that Texas has won 8 straight games. Texas has seen the home team win 8 straight games. You see Texas is at home at plus 245, and there was a trend that had Texas winning the first inning as well. So there was just a lot of different things to like about Texas as the home underdog last night, and that's why we recommended them, and sure enough, they paid off. Will it happen again tonight? I don't know, but the trend is now that Texas has seen the home team win 9 straight games. So I don't know if Lightning's going to strike twice in the same spot, but there are reasons to like Texas at home as an underdog.
We got your guy Foltynewicz going for the Rangers. You love Foltynewicz with the Braves. And Jameson Taillon goes for New York, but obviously they're a much shorter favorite tonight. Now, a lot of late games in the American League. Angels and the Indians, we'll see if Mike Trout plays. He left last night, early leg injury, and the Angels blew out the Indians. And now Zach Plesac goes against Andrew Heaney, and Andrew Heaney's going to get on track because he's had his struggles. But Plesac, after he struggled early against the White Sox, he has pitched better of late, and this number has dropped mainly because Trout's hurt, but maybe you got Andrew Heaney here as a cheap price. You haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, Cleveland. I liked Cleveland last night. They didn't get the job done, but they had won, I believe it was 8 in a row against the Angels prior to last night's game. You said Mike Trout is out now.
He left last night. We'll see what he's questionable.
So just keep an eye on the lineup for this one. See if Mike Trout plays or not. Obviously, I don't have to go into a 10-minute spiel of why that's important. But the run total, if you're looking for something a little bit that has a little bit more traction under it, the run total has gone under in 4 of the last 5 games played between these two teams. But keep in mind, those run totals have been insanely high. You're talking about 9.5, 10, 8.5. Tonight's run total 7.5. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure I would touch this game. I have more conviction in Zach Plesac on the mound. I've seen a trend that says the Angels should lose. Cleveland has won 12 of 13 road games when facing the American League on Tuesday. I think I'm going to stay away from this one. This game I'm going to stay away from.
Houston and Oakland, and Christian Javier, we'll see if he gets on track, and that line is moved because Oakland opened up as a favorite, and Javier now, he is a short favorite against Sean Manaea. Manaea got racked his last time out against Boston, and Manaea had some nice over numbers at home, so maybe that's worth a look tonight. And Houston, this series with these two teams, remember Houston swept Oakland earlier in the season at the Coliseum, then the A's took a few in Houston when they played last time, so now they're back out west, and Christian Javier, we'll see if he can get on track because he was great for a while and then kind of stumbled a little bit, but let's see what he does here. I mean, it's almost, I can't call it a pick'em spot, but Houston now a short favorite.
It's a pick'em. The thing with Houston, though, is that they've won 6 in a row. They've won 7 of their last 8. They've won 9 of their last 11. So there's a ton of momentum with Houston right now. I do like the over, what you alluded to, Houston. They've gone over 24 times this year. That's 3rd best in baseball. And like you said, Manaea got rocked. Might go over here. I think Houston is a fine pick in this game, but this is a coin flip of a game. So personally, there's nothing here that I have conviction in. There's no consistent trends to go off of. And quite frankly, if you were to say Houston's better than Oakland or Oakland's better than Houston, you're splitting hairs at that point. So this might be a live betting situation for this game. But if you like Houston early, feel free to take them.
Detroit's at Seattle, and Casey Mize pitched really well last night for the Tigers and kind of slowed down Seattle after they had a good series against the Indians, and they beat Shane Bieber in the finale, and they ended up losing in the opener last night. And I'll give you a number on the Mariners, that they have lost they've lost off of a home loss one time this season. Okay. That came to the White Sox in the second series. So Seattle's done a very good job of bouncing back. Justin Dunn's been a very good home pitcher for the Mariners. Spencer Turnbull has not been great on the road for the Tigers. He just beat the Royals his last time out. This line has dropped, but I still think Seattle's worth a look, considering they played very well off a loss at home this year.
I'm with you on Seattle. Kind of looking at the other side of the coin to what you had said about them doing well at home after a home loss. Seattle has won 7 straight games after losing at home the game prior. So they rebound very, very well. They're going up against one of baseball's worst teams against a pitcher with no conviction, Spencer Turnbull. So I think there's a lot to like about Seattle tonight. If you don't have any conviction on either team, because why would you? It's Detroit and Seattle. The run total has gone under in 3 straight games between the two teams, and the run total has gone under in 4 of the last 5 games played between both teams. So maybe consider the run total going under, but I do like Seattle tonight.
The final game to look at, the only interleague game, is the Brewers and the Royals in Kansas City. And Brandon Woodruff, the top arm of the Milwaukee rotation, he's been fantastic this year. Now, Corbin Burns has been good too. But Woodruff, a heavy favorite here against the Royals. Kansas City coming off the tough loss to the White Sox on Sunday. And look, they split 4 with the White Sox. I give them a little bit of credit there after they had that long losing streak. But I don't know, is Woodruff a little overpriced tonight? I mean, that's a heavy one considering Milwaukee's offense isn't exactly great.
Yeah, if you like Milwaukee, don't take the money line. Go to the run line. Milwaukee has covered the -1.5 run line in 4 of 5 games when facing Kansas City, and the -1.5 run line for Milwaukee is +102. It's not great plus value, but it's also not laying -180, -190 for a straight-up win. So I think there's some trends and there's some value for Milwaukee to win by 2 or more runs. Other than that, I'm not too sure I would touch anything else regarding this game. Keep in mind, Kansas City has lost 7 straight home games. So it's not like they have home field advantage in this game. They've lost 7 straight in Kauffman. So I think there's a lot to like about the Brew Crew tonight.
Let's take a look now at the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Only 3 games tonight. Then we move to 4, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because we're waiting for Canada. It's taking them forever. And no, we're not going to talk about Calgary and Vancouver.
No,
we're going to pass on that.
That is not a playoff game, people. That is.
No, it's just there to fill out the schedule and just to get some numbers balanced. That's all it is.
So Gary Bettman doesn't have to go to trial.
Exactly, right. So last night we saw Carolina. They beat Nashville. They're up 1-0. Bruins even up their series of the Capitals at 1. They won in overtime.
It's now the 4th overtime game in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Out of 6 games.
And
that's crazy.
And the road team's 3-1.
Or 7 games, I'm sorry, yeah.
And the road team has won 3 times, which is pretty crazy. But also you had Colorado beat St. Louis, so the Avalanche, they're in really good shape right now. So the 3 games tonight in the NHL playoffs, the Islanders and the Penguins, and New York won the opener of that series in overtime. The Islanders and Penguins went back and forth, and the Penguins tied it up late. Islanders won in OT, and now we'll see if you get a little zigzag here with the Penguins as a favorite here. But, again, New York, well coached by Barry Trotz. He's been in the Stanley Cup before. He's won the Stanley Cup, with the Capitals. And the Penguins, let's see if they can avoid an early flameout.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's tough for me to bet against Barry Trotz in the chase for Lord Stanley because he's so good. His teams just have an unbelievable track record in the playoffs. There's a lot to like about Pittsburgh, though. It's tough for me to go against Barry Trotz, but I'm gonna. Pittsburgh, they've won 8 straight home games after going to overtime the game prior. They've won 3 of their last 5 against the Islanders, including 2 of the last 3 against the Islanders. But most of our money has been coming off of player prop betting in this. We hit on Sidney Crosby goal in Game 1. We're going to do it again for Game 2. Sidney Crosby has scored a goal in 6 of 7 home games when Pittsburgh is the favorite. You can get Crosby at +148 to score a goal. Brock Nelson scored a goal in Game 1 as well. He has scored a goal in 4 or 5 playoff games when facing the Pittsburgh Penguins. You can get him to score a goal at +240. I think Pittsburgh gets the job tonight. So if you want to take their money line, feel free. But it is a bit pricey. So if you don't, I understand why.
The Lightning and the Panthers play Game 2 of their series tonight, the BB&T Center at Sunrise. And that was a crazy game, back and forth, hitting. I don't want to say fighting, but more of skirmishes and fracases, or fracai, I guess, in that one. And Tampa Bay scored 2 late goals. I mean, listen.
All breaking point.
Well, you get Nikita Kucherov back.
Yeah, 2 goals
he
back.
Scores 2 goals. You got Steven Stamkos back. You got 2 basically MVPs back. And then you get Braden Point, who's an all-star.
Right.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's all of a sudden looking pretty good.
Yep.
And now the Panthers tonight, they don't go with Sergei Bobrovsky, and then instead it's Chris Driedger.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one from Joel Quenneville. We'll see how that one turns out, if he made the right move or not. Look, Bobrovsky, he is getting paid a lot of money. Driedger can end up going to Seattle in the expansion draft. We'll see how that all goes. But interesting move here now after Bobrovsky allowed the 5 goals in Game 1.
Yeah, it's interesting they're going to make this change after Game 2. It's also interesting they're going to make this change. I wonder, though, is it because they gave up 5 goals? Because really, Florida had that game in the bag. And then Nikita Kucherov, the second period started. And then the third period started for Braden Point. And Tampa really just had 2 players take over the final 2 periods of that game to win them the game. I don't know if switching out Bobrovsky is going to make a difference. So we'll see what happens. Personally, I would not have made that move just yet. Maybe wait another game and see how Bobrovsky does in Game 2. Again, they're home. They're in Sunrise, so I don't know if I'd make the move that quickly. Braden Point, we talked about him. He scored 2 goals in Game 1. He has scored at least 1 goal in 5 of 6 playoff games. You can get him to score a goal at plus 170. Carter Verhaeghe also scored a goal in Game 1. He has scored a goal now in 3 straight games when facing Tampa Bay, which you can get at plus 185. Personally, I think I am going to go with... I think Florida as an underdog and the plus value is an okay pick. Florida's won, I believe, 8 of 9 home games. The Panthers have won 8 of 9 home games after losing the game prior. So I think the value is clearly with Florida here. But as I'm looking, I see they're minus underdogs now. They're minus 104. They're not plus value. So give me the player prop bets in this game, or don't take it all from me because this is a coin flip of a game. And I can't really go. After Nikita Kucherov's performance in Game 1, I really don't know if I feel comfortable betting against him in the Tampa Bay Lightning right now.
The total's at 6 after the 5-4 game on Sunday night.
It might go over with the goalie change. I mean, I tell you, switching goalies is not going to make Nikita Kucherov score any less goals, I promise.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, they finished 3rd, but Stamkos was out for about 5 weeks. Kucherov missed the whole season. All of a sudden, they look like the Stanley Cup champions.
Like the best team, yeah. Exactly.
That helps, yeah, those two guys. The late game in the NHL tonight, the Stanley Cup Playoffs, Minnesota and Vegas. And the Wild won the first game 1-0. Cam Talbot had a huge game in net.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, Vegas, not to say you're kicking yourself, but no disrespect to St. Louis, but you'd rather face the Blues than the Wild in the first round.
Absolutely.
So when Colorado ended up jumping Vegas for the top spot in the West, now you're relegated to play Minnesota, who is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
And now the Wild up 1-0. Vegas didn't score a goal yet, or they haven't scored a goal yet in the series, so now we'll see what they do here in Game 2 at home.
I mean, Minnesota has had Vegas' number all season long. I'm pretty sure they've won 7 of 8 games against Vegas, or 6 of 7 games against Vegas. They just have their number. The goal total should go under. You're talking about 2 of the best goalies in hockey right now, Talbot and Marc-Andre Fleury. I expect them to continue playing stellar. Inside T-Mobile Arena, also, Vegas plays impeccable defense in that venue. Really, both of these teams, inside their respective home venues, play out of their minds. It is so important, though, for Vegas to get this win because they're probably not going to win 2 games in Minnesota. Minnesota is insanely difficult to beat in the XL Energy Center. Vegas, they've won 11 of 12 games at home after going to overtime the game prior, so they do have that working for them. Minnesota was 4 minutes away from us hitting a plus 112 third period money line for Minnesota. Minnesota's won the third period in 4-5 as the underdog after a road win, so at plus 112, if you want to take Minnesota to win the third period again, I recommend taking that. They play much better in the third period than the rest of the game. Kirill Kaprizov, he didn't score a goal. He had a pretty good hockey assist in the last game, though, that ended up as a missed goal. He has scored a goal in 5 of 6 games when facing Vegas. You can get him to score a goal at plus 180. Nick Holden has scored a goal in 3 straight playoff games when facing Minnesota. He has odds to score a goal at plus 800. So some good value there for Nick Holden to score a goal in his 2nd straight game against Minnesota. I think I'm going under as the safe bet. And then if you want to test the player prop bet market, plus 180 Kirill Kaprizov to score and Nick Holden plus 800 to score a goal as well.
So plenty of Stanley Cup action and Calgary, Vancouver too. So you have that one as well.
We're not previewing that.
Yeah.
Game. No.
So they're just playing out the old string, as they say. So, with all that being said, I want to remind you about our Daily Insider contest that just whenever you get an opportunity before the games begin, leave your Vegas Insider ID along with a best bet for today, whatever you like. And put it down. No live bets. Got to be before the game.
No futures, please. Yeah. No futures or live bets.
And you put that below. You'll be in the drawing for a week's worth of handicapper picks from one of our handicappers of your selection, of your choosing. It's a $100 value, so it's a pretty good prize to get. And if you have a Vegas Insider user ID, put that alongside your best bet. If you don't, that's fine. We will not exclude you because you can hit the register button here, the upper right corner, the big yellow box. Free membership. Register now. It's free. It's free. I can't stress that enough. It's free. and create your ID and your password, and you'll be ready to go, an email address and your name, so we can find you if, well, we won't find you, marketing will find you. It's not our job. So they'll find you, and you'll be in the running to win the prize. So again, we appreciate you participating in this contest, and we've had it going for a few weeks, and we've had our winners, and it's gone well, and we appreciate you being a part of it. So we will be back with you again tomorrow at noon, and we'll be looking forward to the 2 Western Conference games in the NBA and the play-in, and we'll talk about what happened tonight. I am Kevin Rogers. He is Thom Cunningham. And Tom, what do we say to everyone before we exit?
We say good luck with your bets. Go out there and make some money.